Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sri Mahaganaadhipataye Namo Namaha. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedhase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Jai Shri Ram. A very warm welcome to all of you to our next episode in the complete reading of Srimad Ramayana. And this episode is predominantly going to be Samkshepa Ramayana. Now, what is the beauty of Samkshepa Ramayana? See, till now we have seen that Rishi Narada or Munipungava Narada has come to Valmiki's place, and Valmiki, after doing all the Arghyapadhyaya and all, started asking a few questions. There were 16 of them, and we tried to map them to the qualities of Rama. And then Narada also described how Rama looked like. He talked about the Samudrika Lakshanas. Yesterday's was a very long video. I promise today also it will be a slightly longer video, but after this again we might get back to our regular 13-14 minutes or even less than 15 minutes wala videos. Okay. Now, Samkshepa Ramayana is what Narada tells to Valmiki. So here Narada is telling the story of Sri Ramachandra to Valmiki in a very, very succinct way, in a very, very small way, 80 slokas or so. This wonderful story of Sri Ramachandra is given to Maharshi Valmiki. So the entire Ramayana is going to be said in this video now. So kindly listen to it very carefully. Samkshepa Ramayana is an extremely powerful tool. If you can read Sanskrit, kindly recite Samkshepa Ramayana as frequently as possible. Minimum to minimum, do it at least once a fortnight, or at least listen to it as much as possible, because the Shakti that's hidden in Samkshepa Ramayana is going to alleviate us all from all our sins. So that's about Samkshepa Ramayana. Now let us look at how the entire Ramayana was described to Valmiki in just about 80 shlokas in Samkshepa Ramayana. So the entire sarga, the first sarga of Balakanda, that's about 100 shlokas. Okay, make no mistake, that's about 100 shlokas. But then 20 shlokas go in the introduction, and the rest 80 are the ones that we are going to discuss now. So in the previous episode, we stopped where King Dasharatha wanted to do the coronation of Sri Ramachandra. Now this news went to Kaikeyi. Now Kaikeyi got two boons from Dasharatha in a battle where Dasharatha was fighting the demons. He was fighting for the Devas and fighting the Asuras. So since he helped Devas, Devas were very, very happy with him. And in that battle, Kaikeyi saves the life of Dasharatha at least twice. And for that, Dasharatha gives her those boons. Okay. Now, she invoked those two boons now, and she says, since you have agreed to give me two boons, those I want them now. The first one is Vivasanancha Ramasya. So you have to send Rama on Vanavasa for 14 years. Why 14 years? Because in those days, if somebody is going for 14 years out of a place, he would automatically lose his right on that place. So if Rama is out of the palace, out of the country, in the forest for 14 years, that essentially means that Rama's claim for the throne would go away, is what Kaikeyi was thinking. And the second boon was she wanted her son Bharata to become the king. Now, Sasatya Vachanad Raja Satyapasena Sanyutaha. So here, the king was tied by the Pasha. Pasha means anything that is used to tie. So, Yama Pasha, that's used to tie the Jiva, right? Like that. Here, Sri Ramachandra's father, Dasharatha, is now tied by the Pasha of Satya. Means he was so much into truth that he was not able to say anything else, and he said, he had to grudgingly or cryingly accept. Now that he accepted it, Sri Ramachandra decided to go to the forests. Sajagama vanam veeraha pratigyam anupalayan priturvachana nirdesyat kaikeya priyakaranat. So Sri Ramachandra said, okay, I'll go to the forests now. And Sri Ramachandra was now moving to the forests. Along with Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Bhrataram Daito Bhratruhu Saubhratrimadarsiyan. So, along with Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana also, the Sumitrananda Vardhana also followed Sri Ramachandra, and they both now moved towards the forest. Not along with these two people, Janakasya kule jata devamayena nirmita sarvalakshana sampanna narinam uttama vadhu. So the lady who was born or who was raised in Janaka's household, so Janakasya kule jata devamayena nirmita, she was not born from a mother's womb, she was ayonija. So devamayena, she came out of divine miracle. Devamayena nirmita sarvalakshana sampanna. So for Sri Ramachandra, we discussed so many qualities. For Sita Ma also, all these qualities are applicable, and Sita and all the feminine qualities of this world are applicable. And Sita Ma is Narinam Uttama. She is the best among the women. Narinam Uttama, and Vadhu. Vadhu is, she is the daughter-in-law of Dasharatha and the wife of Sri Ramchandra. She also accompanied her husband. Now, how did she accompany her husband? She did not go grudgingly. She did not go cryingly. She was happy. She was extremely happy when she was going along with her husband. And there, and when we discuss this in the Ramayana, probably we should put more light into this. But she says, wherever you are, O Ramachandra, that's the palace for me. Wherever you are not there, and if I'm supposed to be alone, Sri Ramachandra, that's the vana, that's the forest for me. Look at that beautiful love that she had for him, right? So from there we move on. Now, Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana, and Sitama, all three are now moving towards the forest. The entire city of Ayodhya, the entire crowd of Ayodhya, they were also moving behind them. This entire people, imagine a mass of humanity walking away from the city and walking towards the forests. Now, Sri Ramachandra makes a trick, and then he misleads those people into another direction, and he reaches Shringiberapura, and in Shringiberapura he meets Guha, who is his friend. Now Guha comes and tries to treat him like a king. Sri Ramachandra says, no, I am not the king anymore. The king of this kingdom is Dasharatha still, and after him it will be Bharata. I am just a normal man, so I can't take all those gifts. If you really want to help the king, those horses which are there, Rama actually goes out in a chariot, right? So those horses which are there, they belong to the king, so kindly feed those horses. And from there, Sri Ramachandra, along with Guha, obviously Sitama and Lakshmana are following him. They all cross the mother river Ganga. Sitama prays to river Ganga. They cross the river Ganga. Then they go to Bharadwaj Ashrama. And in Bharadwaj Ashrama, that says that they can stay in Chitrakuta. So they move to Chitrakuta. In Chitrakuta, they make a nice Parnashala in which they start living. Now let's move the camera back to Ayodhya. Raja Dasharatha Swargam Jagama Vilapan Sutam. The moment Sri Ramachandra left Ayodhya, Dasharatha was weeping uncontrollably. And since he was weeping, and in the weeping, he continuously was talking about Sri Rama. And at one midnight, saying, Sri Rama, Sri Rama, Sri Rama, that old king left this mortal world to join his forefathers in Swarga. The moment that happened, Vasistha and other Dvijas, they quickly brought a huge tub in which they put the body. They filled it with oil so that the body is not decomposed. They put the body horizontally, and they quickly sent out a word to Bharata. Now, where was Bharata? Bharata was staying with his maternal uncle at that point of time in Kekaya Rajya. So he quickly sends a word there from Kekaya. Bharata and his brother Shatrughna, both of them come. Bharata does all the rites and rituals that are needed to be done. Then he calls all the people in the kingdom and says, I am one of you. We all want Sri Ramachandra to be the king. So come, let's go. Let's go to the forest and ask Sri Ramachandra to come back. Now this entire entourage goes to Chitrakuta. Bharata informs Sri Ramachandra about the father's death. Sri Ramachandra quickly runs and does all the rituals that are needed to be done for a deceased soul or for the departed soul. And then the greatest argument of that time starts. It's like two Supreme Court lawyers arguing with each other with full might. Sri Ramachandra on one end keeps telling why he should not take the kingdom. Bharata on the other hand, he keeps telling as to why Sri Ramachandra should come and take the kingdom. I can't tell the entire argument here for the paucity of the time, so I'll just put up one simple thing here. Bharata says, O Sri Rama, my mother took the kingdom from the father. It was not his wish to give me the kingdom. He wanted to give the kingdom to you. My mother invoked some boon and she wanted to give the kingdom to me. That's not correct. Now I am giving this kingdom back to you. You come back. You rule all of us. And for a kingdom, O Ramachandra, the best man in the world or the best man in that country should lead that country. Now Sri Rama says, of course, father has passed away. Of course, you are now the king. But father gave a word. And when father has given a word, and if that is not fulfilled, father will get asatya dosha or he will get the sin of lying. Oh Bharata, I would never want my father to be called a liar. You are saying that you can give the kingdom to me, but oh Bharata, the father has asked me not to get back to the kingdom for 14 years. So how can I break the vow? How can I come back? I will not come back. So this argument goes on and on and on for a very, very long time. Sri Ramachandra should bless us so that we can discuss this at length in one of our future episodes. And finally, the Vidwan, the Samardha, Sri Ramachandra wins the argument and he gives Bharata his padukas. And because Bharata asks for those padukas, so he says, Sri Ramachandra happily gives away the padukas. And there is one wonderful line which is told in Telugu folklore here. It seems Bharata says, my mom took away the kingdom from you, Ramachandra. I have taken away even your footwear. How bad I am. So Bharata takes these padukas. He goes back to Ayodhya, outside Ayodhya near Nandigrama. Bharata sets up his own, he sets up a mahal, or not even a mahal, a small sort of place where he can stay, puts the padukas there, he puts them on the throne, and he calls himself as a servant of those padukas, and he starts ruling the Ayodhya for the next 14 years as the pratinidhi, as the deputy, as the person deputed, probably deputy is the best word, deputed to rule, or as a steward, probably that can be a very nice word. Okay, but that's not the exact word though. So probably he is like the caretaker in the absence of a king. So that's how he keeps ruling. Now again, let us move back to Chitrakuta. Now Sri Ramachandra realizes that the entire city of Ayodhya now knows where he is. So they would not let him stay there. So they would start visiting him. So Sri Ramachandra looks at all this. Now he quickly moves to a place called Dandakaranya. And in Dandakaranya they start walking. Dandakaranya is considered, the Dandaka is the forest name, so it's Dandakaranya. So Aranya is again forest, so Dandaka Aranya. Okay, when they enter this Dandakaranya, they see Viradha, who is a big time Rakshasa there. Sri Ramachandra kills him, and then they meet a lot of rishis. They meet, even just before entering Dandakaranya, they actually meet Atri Maharshi also. But once they enter Dandakaranya, they see Viradha. He gets killed in the hands of Sri Ramachandra. From there, this trio, these three people, go and see Sharabhanga. Sharabhanga Maharshi, he actually moves to Swarga with the body. So he's one of those rare souls who makes to Swarga with the body. And he was waiting for someone. Who was he waiting for? He wanted to see Ramachandra just once before he actually moves to Swargaloka. So Sharabhanga Maharshi sees Ramachandra. From there, Sri Ramachandra meets a lot of rishis. They meet Sutikshna, then they meet the Rishi Agastya and Agastya Bhrata as well. and here they get all these great celestial weapons that are given to them by the Rishi, and from there, and Agastya Mahamuni tells them to move to a place called Panchavati and establish a small Parnashala over there. Parnashala is like a small cottage over there. So they go there, and here they are living. 13 years of Vanavasa almost over. As they are entering the 14th year, one day a lady comes to Sri Ramachandra's doorstep. Her name is Shurpanakha, and she is a sister of the ruler of Lanka, Ravana. Now, Surpanaka, for some reason, develops an interest in Sri Ramachandra, and she says, I want to marry you. Sri Ramachandra rejects it. Now, that lady looks at Sitama and she thinks that Sitama is her obstacle between her and Sri Ramachandra. A lot of story happens here. I'm just going in a very fast forward mode, so I'm not really touching the intricacies of it. So kindly do not delve into it. Again, I'm telling you, we are looking at Samkshepa Ramayana. Okay, now let us get back to Surpanaka. She thinks Sitama is her only hurdle. So since Sitama is the only hurdle, she thinks if she can kill and eat Sitama, she can marry Sri Ramachandra. So when she tries to attack Sitama, Sri Ramachandra asks Lakshmana to punish her by cutting off her nose and ears. So with the nose cut, with the ears cut, she goes and meets her brothers. They are not just brothers, they are brothers in arms, because Dushana, Khara, Trisira, they are distant relatives of Ravana, so they are relatives for her also. And they were deputed by Ravanasura to be ruling over the entire Dandakaranya. So there were 14,000 of those Rakshasas, three of them being the heads, Khara, Dushana, and Trisira. So when Surpanaka goes and tells them about what has happened to her, all 14,000 of them come and attack Sri Ramachandra. Sri Ramachandra asks Lakshmana to go and save Sitama and put her in a guha and save her, and asks Lakshmana to stand guard to Sitama, and he takes care of all 14,000 of them in about 1 hour and close to 20-25 minutes. That's the beautiful battle that has happened over there, and all of them are dead. Now Surpanaka goes to Lanka and tells her brother about all this stuff. She doesn't tell about her love story and all. What she tells is that there is this wonderful, beautiful woman called Sita, and she should be Ravana's wife, in Surpanaka's opinion. That's what she says. Now, Ravana, the moment he heard about this beauty and all, he says he wants to, he wants to avenge the insult that was done to his sister, and two, he wants to get the most beautiful girl in the world. In the same time, the story of Surpanaka, while that's not completely verified, the death of the 14,000 Rakshasas also gets reported to Ravana by another person called Akampana. Now, Ravana creates a plan. He goes to a man called Maricha. He's also a Rakshasa. He says, please help me. Let us go and, abduct Sita and get her here. Maricha says, no, that should not be done. Sri Ramachandra is one of the greatest human beings in the world, so you should not go and touch him. Ravana says, you have two options, Maricha. Either you are dead in my hands, or you are dead in the hands of Sri Ramachandra. Now, Maricha says, if that's where this entire discussion is going, I would rather die in the hands of Sri Rama than dying in your dirty hands. So saying this, Maricha accepts to come along with Ravana. They both go to Panchavati. That's the place where Sri Ramachandra is there right now. Maricha becomes a golden deer, and he goes near the Parnashala. Sitama looks at the golden deer, and she is like, I want to take this golden deer and domesticate it, take it along with me, take it to the palace, because in 1 year we are going back to the palace, so let me go there. That's what she thinks. And she goes to Sri Ramachandra and says, why don't you get that deer to me? Lakshmana, in the meantime, he goes and says, Sitama, the deer is not eating food, it is not touching water, so that means that it is a mayavi, it is not a real deer. So kindly refrain from getting the deer. Sitama doesn't relent. Sri Ramachandra goes in the search of the deer. The deer keeps running. Sri Ramachandra is running behind it. It goes to the dense forests. Sri Ramachandra is also going through all that stuff. Ramachandra has already instructed Lakshmana to be the guard for Sita. So Lakshmana is on the guard for Sita here in the Parnashala. After walking for miles and miles and miles, the deer finally, is running even faster. Sri Ramachandra realizes that it's a magical thing or it's a demonic thing. So he takes out an arrow and he shoots it at the deer. The moment the heart of the deer is pierced, the deer transforms into Maricha, and Maricha mimics Sri Ramachandra's voice, and he says, "Hey Sita, Ha Lakshmana." And Sita Ma thinks that this is the voice of Sri Ramachandra only and asks Lakshmana to go for, to go and save Sri Rama. Lakshmana says, "No, this is a demonic spell that's going on." Sita, insults Lakshmana. Lakshmana had to go. The moment Lakshmana is out, Ravana comes, he abducts Sita, and then they are, and as he is taking her home in Pushpaka Vimana, Jatayu comes up, he puts up a fight with Ravana. Ravana tears off both the wings. He cuts both the wings of Jatayu. Jatayu is actually a huge eagle, which was a friend of Sri Ramachandra's father, Dasharatha. So see, when a friend's family is in danger, you give it all to save them. That's what Jatayu is telling us. That's what a Pakshi Raja is telling us. So that's what a bird is telling us. So we need to understand how we should react, right? Jatayu has fallen down. Now Ravana is abducting her and taking her to his home. He takes her away. Sri Ramachandra and Lakshmana, they both are startled to see each other, and then they both come back. They search for Sita. She is not found. They go near Jatayu. Jatayu informs that it was Ravana who abducted Sita, and he was taking her towards the south. So Ramachandra and Lakshmana start walking down the south. A Rakshasa called Kavandha attacks them. They kill Kavandha, and once Kavandha is killed, he transforms into an Yaksha, and he stands in front of them and he says, "See, it was Ravana who took her. Now you keep going further south. There you would go to a place called Rishyamukha Parvata. There is a person called Sugriva. If you can become friends with him, you can go ahead and find her." So Sri Ramachandra and Lakshmana, they keep walking back, and as they are walking back, they go to Shavari Ashrama. They take her Atidhya. From there, they cross the river, or they cross the Pampa Sarovara, and then they go to Rishyamukha Parvata. And when they are walking towards Rishyamukha Parvata, Sugriva, who is on the mountain top, Parvata is a mountain, so who is on the mountain top, he gets startled. He sends Lord Hanuman. Hanuman comes over there. He understands who Sri Ramachandra and who Lakshmana are. Then he takes both of them to Sugriva. He ensures that the friendship is done there. Sugriva then talks about his problems with Vali, and he tries to test Rama's mettle and how they both get together, defeat Vali, because Sugriva says if he can defeat Vali, if he can become the king of Vanaras, he can help Sri Ramachandra in finding Sitama, right? So then Sri Ramachandra says he'll help him. Then Sugriva puts him to test. Sri Ramachandra passes both the tests, and from there, Sugriva then goes and challenges Vali. Vali comes out because both of them look the same. Sri Ramachandra will not be able to release the arrow because he really doesn't want to kill Sugriva. So Sugriva is beaten black and blue. He comes back. Then Sri Ramachandra tells him the trouble. Then they put a mala in his neck. Then they both go. Sugriva and Vali again have a fight. Rama kills Vali with an arrow. Vali has a lot of questions. Again, that's a great argument that happens over there. Sri Ramachandra answers all those questions. Vali thanks Sri Ramachandra for killing him and then dies in peace. Sugriva becomes the king, and after the Angada, Vali's son, becomes the Yuvaraja or the heir to that kingdom. And then Sugriva sends out Vanaras in all four directions to search, and the Vanaras who go to the south are led by Angada. In that team, there are great Vanaras like Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, and they all reach the north bank of the South Sea. In a way, we can call it like they are going towards the southmost tip of India. So from there, a huge eagle again called Sampati tells them that she is able to see, or he is able to see Sitama in Sri Lanka or in the Lanka which Ravana is ruling. Hanuman crosses the sea, goes there, sees Sitama, and then there is a small battle that ensues. Hanuman kills Jambumali, and then Panchasenagragan Hatva Saptamantri Sudanapi. So he kills 5 Senapatis, Saptamantri Sudanapi, 7 sons of the ministers, and then Ravana's son himself, who is Akshakumara. And after all this is done, Indrajit comes, he puts Brahmastra. Lord Hanuman honors the Brahmastra, and he goes to Ravana's court. And in Ravana's court, he has a argument with Ravana. Ravana does not take the advice. He orders that Hanuman's tail be burnt, and with the tail, the fire that was set to the tail, Hanuman burns the entire Lanka, goes back to Sitama, ensures that she is safe, then goes back to Sri Ramachandra, informs him that he has seen Sitama, and then the entire army of Vanaras, which runs into lakhs and crores of people, they march towards Lanka, they build a bridge on the Samudra, and now this entire army enters Lanka. A huge fight ensues. Sri Ramachandra kills Ravanasura. Then he goes back to Nandigrama in Pushpaka Vimana. There he removes the ascetic form. All these years he was in an ascetic dress, right? So he removes that ascetic dress. He wears the clothes that are fit for a king. He gets his hair and all cut because for 14 years he was actually growing it. So and now he becomes fit like a ruler, and from there he gets coronated, and he rules the kingdom for Dasavarsha Sahasrani, Dasavarsha Satanicha, Ramo Rajyam Upasitva. He serves the people for 11,000 years, then he goes to Brahmaloka. And over those 11,000 years, Dasavarsha Sahasrani, Dasavarsha Satanicha, over those 11,000 years, they were wonderful. How were they wonderful? Naputra Maranam Kinchit. No father saw his son dying. There was no fear of thieves. There was no fear of people. There were no people who were cunning. Okay. And no woman became a widow, which essentially meant as long as she was alive, her husband was also alive. So Rama ruled in such a wonderful way. People were very happy. Nachapik Shudbhayam Tatra Nataskara Bhayam Tada. Nobody had the fear of hunger. Everybody was, was making enough to live a nice life. Okay, there was no pain of hunger at all in the Nataskara Bhayam Tada. There was no fear of dacoits. Nagaranicha Rashtrani Dhanadhanya Yutanicha. All the cities, the kingdoms, they all had enough money and enough grain for the kingdoms to survive. Dhanadhanya Yutanicha. Nityam Premudita Sarve. Every day the people were happy. Yadha Krita Yuge Tadha. And then Sri Ramachandra also did Aswamedha Satayarishta. He did 100 Aswamedhas. And then he also did a lot of danas. He did a lot of dharma. Such wonderful was the rule of Sri Ramachandra. That's why we all talk about Ramarajya forever and ever and ever. So this is the Ramayana that was told by Narada Maharshi to Valmiki Maharshi, and Narada Maharshi ends this by saying, if anyone idam pavitram papaghnam punyam vedaisya samvitam yapathet ramacharitam sarva papai pramuchite. This is pavitram. This is very, very pure. Idam pavitram papaghnam. This burns the sins. Papaghnam punyam. It gives you a lot of punya. Okay, or good karma. Punyam vedaisya samhitam. Equivalent. I mean, this is like a Veda. Anyone who reads Ramacharitam, he is absolved of all the sins. Okay, Ramacharitam sarva papai pramuchate. So by Ramachandra's grace, by doing this episode, and by listening to this, by reading this, we all are cleared of our sins. That's what Rishivakya says, and I believe in Rishivakya. Now, how did this 80 Shloka to 90 Shloka Ramayana get transformed into a 24,000 Shloka Ramayana? How did Valmiki go ahead and elaborate this? Who gave Valmiki the boon so that he can see everything that happened in Ramayana? All that. How does this abridged version actually grow into a huge version? That's what we are going to see from tomorrow in our next episodes. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Sai Swami Charanarvindar Pranamastu. Jai Shri Ram.